This is Dan the Beast Severn, the only Triple Crown champion in the UFC history. You are now in the main event zone with your host, PAW. You had better listen, otherwise, I know where you live. Currently listening to the main event with PAW.
What's going on, Fight World? This is your boy PAW, and you are now back in the main event zone. Of course, the maineventzone.com is the spot to be. Your favorite fighters' favorite website and show. And of course, I have another great gift for you. Another great guest. Another great show. And it's going to start with the first Triple Crown fighter champion within the UFC, the man who took over the NWA, the man who was a beast inside the WWE ring. It only can be one guy. You know him. And if you don't know him, then you're not an MMA fan. You're not a WWE fan. You're not an NWA fan. You have to know Dan the Beast Severn. What's going on, sir?
I'm going pretty good there, Patrick.
So let's get right into it. Typically, I ask my guests about their fighter origin, but I mean, your origin is so illustrious, I'm going to kind of break it down bit by bit. So let's start off back in the day. I'm talking back when you were just tearing through the amateurs. So what was the mindset like for a small town farm boy dominating the amateur wrestling scene at an ASU?
Well, I'll tell you what, Patrick, I really did not realize I was doing it until probably afterwards, because I did not get caught up into listening to the interviews or reading the articles. And I see that's what happens to a lot of young athletes. They get so caught up into the hype, and they start believing all the crap that is either written or said about them, that they really tend to get a little overconfident and then start to make mistakes. I've always been well-grounded, and I think that's what helped me out a great deal. I knew what my strengths were in my amateur wrestling career, and I did not. If I had an opponent that was trying to do something different, I would not play that game there with them. I always make them wrestle my matches. They had to wrestle my match. Well, I'm going to win.
Okay. All right. So you definitely did a lot of amazing things at ASU. So then move right along to your next stage. Being the first world-class wrestler to enter the UFC at UFC 4, did you have a chip on your shoulder going in there with such accolades, or were you nervous fighting other fighters with different styles that you may not have been familiar with?
Yeah, no chip on my shoulder. I mean, I simply looked at it when I first saw the product. I was kind of blown away that, wow, you can do this in the United States. It just kind of blew me away. And then I realistically look at what is the skill set do I bring to the table? After seeing what everyone else does, I think, well, my skill set is my grappling ability. And I'm thinking, well, they have to be within arm's reach in order to punch me. They have to be within legs range in order to kick me, to knee me, to elbow me. And I kept thinking, well, if I stay out of range, and then they throw, they're all taught throw, and then the recoil, I thought if I could time it right, they throw, and then they recoil back. I just follow back in, and I clinch it. I take them down, I jam them, I hit the cage wall, and now I welcome my opponent to my world, and they will never see the light of day again unless I decide to cut them loose. And that little tidbit there helped me complete a 20-year career. I really don't think you'll ever see anyone ever again complete a 20-year career in the cage fighting industry. It's too, the competition is improved a great deal, and things are so much more well-rounded, and you're just not going to see people that have those kind of matches, number of matches, I should say.
That and the fact that a lot of people kind of want to, get the money. They kind of go up the ranks. They want to get the money fights, and they want to get out. They want to do movies. Now, especially with the UFC owned by this WME, they want to get these roles. They want to be able to be in front of the camera and get the money without getting hit in the face. So I definitely don't see any more 20-year careers going on, especially with the new crop of fighters. But
Yeah.
So starting then from the very beginning, UFC 4, you was running through the competition there with your wrestling skills. So then from there you met Royce Gracie. So now what changed in you after that Royce Gracie loss, which in essence unleashed the beast in UFC 5?
I was here for 5 days, and I walked through that world without knowing how to do a single legitimate punch, without knowing a single legitimate submission. Even when they asked me there, what is your martial art? I had never heard that. I should say I've never asked that before. I simply said, well, I'm an American wrestler. And the person who I told it to had never heard that reply before. They looked at me kind of inquisitive and said, well, what exactly does that do for you? I go, I don't know. I said, I'm making this up as I go. Watch me. So I said, when I went to UFC 4, I went out there as just a raw wrestler. Oh, from UFC 4 to UFC 5, I took out 32 days of my life, and I trained to be a no-hold-barred competitor, and it worked because I destroyed the field in short order, and I became the new reigning UFC champion.
Oh, yeah. Tell me why the Ultimate 1995 tournament is a night in your life that you'll never forget.
Oh, no, it was probably the best. I say it's the pinnacle of my career because that was my second training camp I ever did. I took out 35 days of my life, and I prepared, they never give us even the timetables of the rounds. So I wasn't certain how long each round was going to take place with each bout that I had. This was the first time that time increments were going to be put into place, limiting the match bout would be fast because part of that it was up for the time. So, yeah, I prepared well for that. I still even have my little training manual that I put together. That I would be doing stuff like I'd be rolling around down on the ground. I'd reach up and I would cup like my opponent's ear. I just grab hold of it and then I'll be reached. And then going on a little bit further, I would grab the other ear and then just grab hold of the remote and release. And I had my workout person go, what are you doing? I said, well, I just tore your ear off. And he goes, well, you can't do that. Oh, I said, oh, good swear. The only two things I can't do to you is bite you and stick a finger in your eye socket. No eye gouge. I said, other than that, I can do anything to you I want. That's the only two rules. That's good. To your listeners, they're used to seeing current product of mixed martial arts. The current product of mixed martial arts has approximately 47 or 49 rules are in place. Weight classes, time periods, athletes wear gloves, and they fight one opponent and give you easy. Back in that no-holds-barred, otherwise known as NHP era, there were only those two rules I spoke about. No biting, no eye gouge. No weight class. No time period. You wear this bare knuckles, no gloves, and it was an 8-band tournament. In the same 2-hour pay-per-view that still runs to this day, where you fight one opponent, you had to fight 3 men in that tournament format. And I am the only Triple Crown champion of the UFC no-hold-barred era. And since it is now against the law to do, I'm in a category all by myself. So to say what I did at the timetables, the age I did it, and the fact I could play lifetime chemical-free status, and only doing 2 training camps, find me another human being that has either walked this planet at one point in time or currently walks this planet. It doesn't exist. I am that person, and the only person.
Exactly. You definitely are. That's definitely an achievement that nobody else can ever say that they achieved. So now, how was your overall experience in the NWA?
I'll say pretty good. Not going to say 100% good because I was used on a couple of occasions, and I don't care for it when I'm being used. I mean, it's an industry, but at one point in time, I'll say that, there was not doing justice to come up with some of the names of some of the people, but I was certainly was just asked to be honored on the NWA card. I was not the current champion at the time, and I was heading over to Japan just to be part of a show, and just to be doing a tag team match with Steve Corino. And in the flight over, our tag team match got changed to a singles match, and now now I'm in the main event for the heavyweight title bout. So that's talk about a change of plans, because the Japanese current heavyweight champion did not want to drop the strap to any of the current contenders for the belt. But he would drop the strap to me because of who I am and the records and titles that I carry with me. So I don't care for that point that the NWA used me. And then, the fact is, I carried that belt for, 4 years?
4 years straight.
Yes, and the only reason that the belt, I never lost the match. The belt was stripped from me because somewhere along the line, NWA made a deal with, I believe it was with the TNA, to do a Wednesday night pay-per-view, and I used to always keep my schedule up on my website. I was busy on that same night. I had already made a commitment. I was actually in I was in a cage down in New Mexico doing a match. And the NWA had the audacity to strip the belt because of their starry ticket sales that it was never announced until maybe a couple weeks before. All of a sudden, they're like, well, now we're going to, in our very first pay-per-view, we're going to have NWA heavyweight title defense. And they're just trying to phone me. I'm like, well, obviously, I'm not going to be there. I'm going to give them my word. I'm going to be somewhere else. I'm going to be in New Mexico in a cage doing a mixed martial arts match, or I should say, it's a whole hard match at that time. So basically, that's one of those things that, in retrospect, if I was there to have that moment over again, I would have said, fine, if he doesn't want me as your champion, no problem. Send whoever you want to take the strap off me, send them to me and see if they're capable of doing it.
Okay.
See, that's where it just kind of pisses you off when you deal with people that are not very honorable for them, for all I did for that company. It was that NWA company was almost non-existent. There was, I think, only 4 or 5 promoters even left not just in the United States, I think in the world. And then for them to do something like that to me, it's bullshit.
Wow. So it's safe to say that Dan Severn is currently still the champion in NWA. He's never been pinned. So
I was this way. I never lost the strap, so should I still be considered the champion since I never lost the strap in a match?
That sounds like a good way to do a nice little title unification match there if you see fit.
Yeah, well, I don't think anything like that will ever take place.
Okay, well,
I've offered my services up a couple of times, but I just think that some people just think my time has kind of come and gone. Even though I still do professional matches, the sad part is I walk in that locker room and I'm in better shape than 90% of that locker room.
Wow!
It's like shame on those individuals that a 58-year-old guy is in better shape than what they are, and I'm not even on any kind of chemicals. Just think if I actually went the route of chemicals, how much more freakish I would be.
Yeah.
But I've only outlived almost 30 of my professional wrestling partners.
Wow.
So I expect to live quite a few more years.
Okay, that's great. You're actually in a special elite group of fighters who have worked with the WWE and the UFC. Been in the octagon and the ring, and that's with CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Ken Shamrock. How do you feel about that? Yeah, I had to include CM Punk.
I can't help laugh. Well, no. I'm not laughing at that. Well, first off, I don't even want to be put in the same category. as the three others. Well, first off, because of the CM Punk, well, one of us has had a much more illustrious career.
Very true.
And to have that association, that CM Punk, I don't even know if he's capable. I don't even think he's capable of carrying my gym bag.
Okay. Between the UFC and the WWE, what company did you have the best experience with?
I'll always say that my cage fighting career I enjoyed more than my professional wrestling career because I control my destiny in the cage fighting career. All I had to do was walk out there and get results. But now in the professional wrestling career, you had to deal with promoters, you had to deal with politics, you had to deal with a bunch of ass kickers along the way. And I'm not an ass kisser. I'm an ass kicker, not an ass kisser.
Very true, very true. So now I was going to ask you then, did you go through any type of jealousy, seeing the fact that you actually can work in WWE, but also work in NWA? Was there any type of jealousy since you were the only one that had that freedom, that non-exclusivity, to be able to go between both locker rooms? Did you have any jealousy?
Well, I could see that. Well, there should not have been. No one else really should have known about my contract. To me, it's like, unless someone else devours it, to me, it's like, I look at it this way. Whatever contract you cut for yourself, that's what you cut for yourself. I'll worry about my own contract. It was just fine what I made for only working 1/3 of the schedule. When you think about it, I was non-exclusive to the UFC. I was non-exclusive to the NWA. I was non-exclusive to the WWF. Has there ever been another athlete that could say something like that either? No. But it's like, I think the WWF was afraid or concerned, I think it's basically one and the same, that if they would have put a strap on me, that, well, I could have worked for the competition, I could have worked for WCW, I could have worked for ECW, and I might have made their title look bad. And nobody ever came to speak to me, to know that I am that throwback from days gone by. Even with the UFC, they were up in arms to have the NWA belt, a professional belt, walked up to the octagon. They did not want to have anything to do with professionalism whatsoever, because they wanted people to realize that this was the real thing. And I said, I had to educate the owners there. But like I said, I spoke to the representatives. I said, you don't understand the lineage of this NWA belt. You don't understand the men that have carried this belt up. Real shooters, capable men that have held this belt in the past. I can't say that for, say, the more current 20 past years, because the world of professionalism has changed a great deal. If you go back in time a little bit there, where you used to have the shows at the various fairgrounds, and you'd have the announcer inside the ring there alongside the champion, and he'd be announcing any man, woman, or child that last, 5 minutes of the champ will get $10,000. That was legit. Mm-hmm. Knowing that whatever poor slob crawled through those ropes, the champ was going to put down hard and fast.
Right.
So that now, when Billy Bob goes back up in the stand, bloody, battered, and bruised, well, the people think it's got to be real. Look what just happened to one of our own. Well, I was that guy that could have bloodied people on up. They showed legitimacy to it. I mean, when you figure, my very first match ever, I pulled off 2 German suplexes. I had more professional promoters go, that was the most awesome thing. You legitimized professional wrestling. Now, to me, it's like, the German suplex is also just known as the ability to act suplex in the world of amateur wrestling or Greco-Roman wrestling. Mm-hmm. That was my background.
Okay.
So throwing people, I was good at.
Yeah, there's plenty of tape that shows you correct, sir. So now, also, around the time that you were in the WWF at the time, they had their own version of an MMA bout. They called it the Lion's Den match. That gets perfected by Ken Shamrock. So now, were you ever approached to fight in that type of match? And also, what was your opinion on their attempt at a cage or octagon?
I'll just say that they did two things. Well, first they did, the dungeon match at the Hart Residence, again with Owen Hart and with the Ken Shamrock, and then the return aspect was, then they did a Lions Den match, in this cage in one of the auxiliary gyms there at the Madison Square Garden. And, I'm basically on both occasions, all I am is just basically a special guest referee. They should have been. I guess had me a little bit more involved in different types of aspects, but it's kind of like I left things, I guess, more to the hands of the creative writers. Maybe I should have spoke up just a little bit more to them, but it's just like I kept looking at it's your guys' stuff. You guys, have been successful at doing whatever it is you do. Well, I didn't think I had to tell them how they should be doing their job.
Right.
In retrospect, we should have.
Okay. Well, speaking about the creative writers, I did hear you tell the story before, so I definitely want our listeners to be able to have the privilege of hearing it from you. Tell us about that story when the WWE approached you with a certain type of gimmick that you weren't too excited about, and also what your response was when they tried to give you backlash for not trying to play ball with it.
Well, basically, you refer to the cycle of a professional wrestler. If you're the good guy, the baby face, are turned into the heel, and vice versa from the bad guy right back into the good guy. That's just the cycle of professional wrestling. And so basically, I specified it as kind of a baby face, just a no nonsense. I wore all the same gear I wore from my Ultimate Fighting cage fighting days. And so basically, now they're approaching me about turning it into the heel. And they're approaching me about putting six across my forehead, mark of the and making me into an Undertaker disciple, doing a few other wacky things. And as they pitched me to say, I put my hand on my deal, timeout, and blow their whistle. I'm like, that's not going to happen. I live in small town USA. I don't want any repercussions against my family, nor against my businesses, nor against me. And even if there's how much money to make doing this? I've already made money. That's not why I'm here. There's the UFC really owes both Ken and I a great deal of gratitude in the aspect. Probably more for me, because Ken wasn't really, I think Ken was just simply looking out for himself. To me, I played out the fact that I was a UFC champion and stuff like that, and an NWA champion. I was the guy that had all these titles and credentials, and I am using it as part of the marketability. There were people that were professionals and fans that had never heard of the UFC. And because they're going on the dance, former UFC champion, like, what the heck is UFC? They're looking at it up and they're like, what is this crazy product? Cage fighting, you got to be kidding me. I mean, like I said, that company, the UFC, just does not realize how much exposure I got them. But it is what it is, and we move on.
Okay, so now, as you mentioned earlier, you did have a choice between WWE or WWF and WCW, and you chose WWF. So now, have you ever looked back and tried to maybe figure out what if you would have chose WCW and how they would have handled your career?
Well, the reality is they both were romance to me. WWF first romance was calling upon me, and next WCW contacts me, and even ECW contacts me at one point in time. And, basically I think that when WWF caught wind that WCW had touched base with me, I think it made it easier to complete the contract. Really is what we're both down to. I don't think they wanted to lose out, even though they didn't really know who or what they had in me. I guess they just wanted to lose out to WCW.
Okay. So now, kind of switching bases, another pro wrestler turned MMA fighter, Bobby Lashley, he was recently victorious in his Bellator fight. So now, what's your opinion on Bobby? Because he actually has the best shot right now of duplicating your accomplishment of actually being champion in MMA as well as wrestling. I mean, he's not champion now, but since he still works for both companies, TNA and Bellator, he has the opportunity to do so.
No, and I hope he does succeed in it. I mean, well, he gives Bobby has done really well for himself. I hope he's able to succeed at it. I don't begrudge anybody on their success that they have. Me personally, I just ahead of my time with the opportunities. Look at what I did in the UFC. My guarantee walking out at the octagon was my guarantee was $1,000. Think about that. I think $1,000, and I signed a contract stating that has a fine print. In the event of your accidental death, they're not responsible. And there's only two things you could do that you could do. Fighting an eye gouging, that's crazy. And if you look at, I have the highest winning percentile of anybody. Mm. You have some other people that they're young in their career, and they might have, they might be undefeated. They might be undefeated and only have a few matches.
Yeah.
Let's see if you'll ever come close to 100+ matches.
Oh, definitely. I mean, from what I researched here, you are one of 3 people who have received 100 wins in their career or gone over 100 fights, and you've beaten the other 2. So, I mean, you're top of the list there, sir.
Yep. Well, it's not being precocious. It's facts, and I think a lot of people are kind of thrown away at that I've done what I've done. I even put together a book that came out over the 4th of July weekend. It's called The Realest Guy in the Room, The Lifetimes of Dan B. Severn. So it literally listen to each night. It reached #1 bestseller on Amazon.com.
Okay. Everybody go check that out, by the way. I'll probably post a link down below there.
Well, that way, because, we'll only touch kind of superficially on some of the things that I've done in the world of professional wrestling, some of the stuff I've done in the cage fighting world, some of the stuff I've done in the amateur wrestling world, but that goes into a little bit more in detail what I've done in those different areas, but that's really only book number 1. I expect there really should be a book number 2 and probably a book number 3 because I have over 1,000 pages in just the file that I was able to put together over the decades of writing a story here, or writing down a little couple notes there, and I have over 1,000 pages. So there definitely is easily to be a book number 2 and a book number 3.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, there could be an interview number 2, interview number 3 between me and you, sir, because, I mean, I have so many questions that I want to ask, but due to time restraints, I won't. But I have a couple more here for you. So we did just mention Bellator. So now Bellator is known for putting legends together in fights, most recently Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie. Now, seeing the fact that, hearing that, I'm sure you've kind of thought about it. What if you would have unleashed the beast on Royce Gracie during your fight at UFC 4? So if Bellator tried to give you a phone call, seeing that you still are in very, very good shape, Royce just fought, is there any possible way for them to possibly coerce you to get back in the cage to give that one more shot?
Actually, I called them. They didn't call me. I called them. As soon as I heard that match was announced, I called them to say, hey, what's it going to take for me to be maybe a special guest commentator? What's it going to take for me to get the winner or the loser? Or, hey, I'll tell you what's it going to take for me to give you a 2-for-1 special? I'll do them both in the same night. I'll start the card with one. I'll finish the card with the other. Give me about 5-6 matches in between. Let's go old school. Bring those 2 guys out to the cage, flip a coin, and we'll find out which one of those guys gets to go first.
Okay.
That's how much I wanted both of those guys.
Wow. Okay.
They have not aged all that well. And again, I'm almost kind of embarrassed to bring this on up, but out of the very first 3 guys ever inducted into the UFC's Hall of Fame, only one of us has never tested positive for controlled substances. Would you like to go out on a limb there, Patrick, and guess who that person might be?
I think I have him on the show.
I hope I'm sounding as condescending as it be. Because there are so many people in this world that don't have a clue as to who I am and what I have accomplished. And to do it at the age I've done it, lifetime camp go fit in with only 2 training camps. I am history.
Okay, so
The thing is, actually, I'm still willing to climb into a cage now. And I'm a 15-year-old guy. I was supposed to, at the same time, at the match you were just talking about between Ken Shamrock and Royce Gracie. You don't know this, but a company out of Canada had touched base with me. They found out that they said that we heard that Ken Shamrock might be one person you might come out of retirement for, because I had retired officially as of January 2013. And I did, but I retired with a clause. I was trying to get one of these 3 guys. Mark Coleman was also in the mix. I wanted one of these 3 guys, and Mark Coleman's no longer on that list because he's had a couple hip replacements and stuff like this, so he's off that list. Right. And Coleman, Shamrock and Gracie is on that list because they did this. Well, again, the whole point is that this company had reached out to Ken. Ken had agreed to do a match with me. Signed the letter of intent, even took the cash advance. And then when he was making this noise on his Twitter account, saying he's got big announcement to come, I'm thinking, well, he's going to be announcing him and I. What does he do? He announces he's going to be fighting Royce Gracie in Bellator. So I call this company, and I go, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but they just announced they've got a fight Bellator on a Friday night, and he had already agreed to fight me on a Sunday, literally 2 days apart, Friday to a Sunday. So they contacted Ken, and this is the audacity of Ken. He says, tell Dan Severn, I was in a horse, he tells the company, move the show back by 1 week. Pretty arrogant to think that you should move a show back 1 week when you already had made a commitment to that company before making the announcement on show number 2. You guys go ahead, move your show back by 1 week. I'll fight Royce Gracie 1 weekend, and I'll fight Dan Severn the following week. Does Dan Severn have a problem with that? When the guy told me, he just told me that, I go, no. Dan Severn doesn't have a problem with that whatsoever. But you, Mr. Company here out of Canada, you might have a problem with that, because if Ken gets any kind of a boo-boo whatsoever, he will have a minimum of a 30-day suspension. So if you move it back by a week and he gets a 30-day suspension, what happens to your show now? And again, this is a company that knows nothing about mixed martial arts. So I educate them along the way. And, lo and behold, Ken not only gets a boo-boo, but he tests positive for steroids once again. And now on top of that, opiates. So Ken is a very bad boy. And now he's got to sit out, go stand in the corner extra long. I don't know when his sanctions are supposed to be up. But at the same token, this company says, well, do you still want to face him? I go, I'll tell you what, you guys just pay me in advance next time. Then maybe I'll talk to you. Because otherwise, you guys wasted 5 months of my life. Is what you did.
Wow.
And I'm not a very happy camp of wasting time. Time is very precious to me.
All right. Well, some promoter who has the knowledge and the experience, Dan Severn's ready. So whether it's Ken Shamrock, whether it's Royce Gracie, I'm sure he has other people on his hit list. So hey, somebody make it happen. The guy is waiting. He's just sitting in his garage right now. So
I'm not waiting for them at all. I'm moving right back into promotions. I started my Danger Zone and then they come back around that 1995 time period, and I've got 50 some of my shows underneath my belt. I've had a little bit of a sabbatical the last 4 years, It was kind of tough serving multiple masters while I'm jumping right back into promotions. And so I've got my first show coming back this coming Saturday, October 29th, down in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I'm excited about that because I have a new rule, actually, that the state of Indiana is allowing me to implement that is going to change mixed martial arts forever.
Forever, folks. So definitely...
That's a pretty bold statement, but then I'm a rather bold individual. I've done bold things. So that's what's sure. I don't just talk about it. I will do it.
Okay, so how can people watch this fight?
Well, I mean, if you want to know more about how to either come and see it live or to be able to order up an actual internet pay-per-view, simply go to the-dangerzone.com. That little dash in between the word "the" and "danger." The-dangerzone.com. All the information is listed there. It's down in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You know, doors are opening up at 6. Shows will be starting at 7. This is all amateur hired, but my heart goes out for the amateurs because the pro level is set. Unified rules are recognized in the United States over the entire world over. So, but the amateur level differs from state to state to state. And right now I have 6 states that have rolled out the red carpet to me and they say, please come, because they know that my rules are better than what they have.
It's truly been a pleasure speaking to you, man. This is definitely a pleasure to have such a legend speak to me, speak to the main event zoners out there watching. It's definitely a pleasure, man. Thank you for taking the time out. Make sure everybody checks out the promotion he's talking about. So definitely on October 29th.
Check it out again. October 29th, the-dangerzone.com. Or if you want to know whatever else Dan, the Severn has going on, simply go to dansevern.com. That's my website.
Do that as well as find out his Facebook because he's definitely very, very active on Facebook Live. It's actually pretty entertaining watching him talk to everybody. He shouts out your name. If nothing else, watch him have your name shouted out. The man is speaking to you, so definitely listen. He's a legend. And again, I thank you very much for being on my show. You have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
You too, Patrick. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There you have it. Dan the Beast Severn just spoke. He talked about his career. He talked about the WWE. He talked about the NWA, UFC. You have been fed. Take it, process it, come back next time. The maineventzone.com has been revamped, so definitely check out their website. We have a radio show coming with my man T. Wayne, with the T. Wayne Experience as well. He has another show as well, so check that out as well. But the Main Event Zone Radio is going to be popping. We're going to be talking about what's going on in wrestling, what's going on in boxing, what's going on in MMA. We're going to have guests on there from time to time. It's going to be a weekly show, so definitely stay tuned to the maineventzone.com for more information. We have a new Twitter handle, at Main Event Zone, so go to that. I mean, we have a lot of things going on here. It's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of upgrades. We're expanding the brand. Things are going to be good, so definitely keep watching. Keep being a part of this. I'm going to keep bringing you the best guests I possibly can, and we're going to move this needle up and be like Fat Joe and go all the way up if you follow rap. Holla at your boy. Thanks a lot.